In the heart of Buenos Aires, amid the vibrant pulse of La Boca's colorful streets and the echo of distant tango rhythms, Diego's life had always been intertwined with the magic of football. Since childhood, when he first saw a flicker of genius on a tiny television screen, a moment when Lionel Messi's nimble dribbles and mesmerizing goals defied the ordinary, Diego knew that what he witnessed was not mere sport but pure, transcendent art. Every chipped poster on his wall, every well-worn jersey, and every faded magazine clipping bore witness to his fervent devotion. For Diego, Messi was more than a player, he was an emblem of hope, a beacon who transformed the bleakest moments into brilliant triumphs on the pitch. As Diego grew, so too did the intensity of his admiration. Memories of those early, wide-eyed moments evolved into a lifelong passion, a passion that urged him to declare his love in the most indelible manner possible. One warm summer evening, as the city bathed in the golden hues of a sinking sun, a singular idea took root in his heart. He would honor his idol by getting a tattoo that captured the spirit and soul of Messi. It wasn't simply about ink on skin, it was about crafting a living narrative that merged his identity with the legacy of a man whose every move had inspired millions around the globe. The thought of Messi's image forever etched into his flesh stirred Diego's soul like nothing before. Determined to create a tribute that was as intricate as it was heartfelt, Diego plunged into research and preparation. He spent countless hours sketching ideas, poring over photographs of Messi in moments of sublime brilliance, and even studying the symbolism behind every line and shadow that could capture the player's dynamic energy. The envisioned tattoo was not a static image but a fluid portrait, a blend of Messi's most iconic plays, the delicate curvature of his confident smile, and the resolute spark in his eyes when he defied all odds on the field. This piece of art was meant to be both a personal emblem and a universal symbol of perseverance, beauty, and the boundless power of dreams. The next step led Diego to El Maestro, a renowned tattoo artist whose studio was as much a sanctuary of art as it was a workshop of self-expression. Nestled between a lively cafe and a modest art gallery, the studio's walls were adorned with murals and sketches that told stories of resilience and rebirth. El Maestro, with his calm demeanor and an intuitive understanding of his client's deepest yearnings, listened intently as Diego laid out his vision. Every detail, from the subtle gradient of the ink to the sweeping curves that mimicked Messi's signature moves, was discussed with meticulous care. The artist's eyes lit up with a kindred passion. He too believed that art could capture the essence of legends and that Diego's tribute was destined to be extraordinary. On the day of the tattoo session, the studio hummed with a mixture of nervous anticipation and quiet reverence. The buzz of the tattoo machine, the soft murmur of encouraging words from El Maestro, and the steady rhythm of Diego's heartbeat all blended into a singular symphony of hope and determination. As the needle touched his skin for the first time, each prick became a punctuation mark in the unfolding narrative of his life, a narrative where every drop of ink symbolized a cherished memory of Messi's brilliance. In that intimate space, Diego felt the weight of his journey, a journey not only to celebrate an icon but to stitch his own story into the fabric of football history. Yet, Diego's vision extended far beyond the confines of that small, art-filled room. Fueled by an unquenchable desire to share his passion with the world, he decided to broadcast the entire process live. With a carefully arranged setup of cameras and a dedicated social media channel, he invited the global community to join him on this transformative day. As he began streaming, messages of encouragement and awe began pouring in from fellow fans, art enthusiasts, and even casual onlookers. The digital space turned into a tapestry of shared emotions. Fans reminisced about Messi's unforgettable free kicks, recalled heart-stopping comebacks, and celebrated the sheer humility that always accompanied his genius. For Diego, every comment was a thread weaving him closer to a worldwide family of believers in the magic of football. Between the rhythmic hum of the tattoo machine and the live chatter of his online audience, Diego experienced a profound inner dialogue. Moments of doubt crept in like shadows at dusk. What if his humble tribute was dismissed as mere fanaticism? What if Messi, the legendary maestro himself, never learned of this living homage? Yet, each uncertainty was met with an unyielding resolve. Diego believed that true passion was not measured by immediate recognition but by the courage to be vulnerable and to chase dreams without reservation. In those quiet intervals, as ink merged with skin, he felt a deep connection to every soul who had ever dared to dream, to every fan whose heart had soared with Messi's every move. As the session advanced, the transformation on Diego's arm became more than just a series of lines and colors. It evolved into a dynamic tapestry of memory and aspiration. Every stroke of El Maestro's needle seemed to channel the spirit of a footballing genius, the fluid grace of a well-executed dribble, the explosive energy of a victorious sprint, and the quiet intensity of moments when the world seemed to pause in admiration. In that immersive act of creation, Diego realized that he was not merely getting a tattoo, he was etching his own journey alongside that of his idol, forging a bond that transcended time, distance, and the ephemeral nature of life. As the first rays of dawn filtered through the studio windows, Diego took a moment to reflect on the day's work. His arm was now adorned with an intricate mosaic, a visible record of his unwavering devotion and the dreams that had driven him to this point. The live broadcast continued to glow on countless screens, a digital echo of the passion that united fans across the globe. With every supportive message and every shared memory, Diego felt that his quest was evolving into something far greater than he had ever imagined. It was a declaration, a promise that no matter the outcome, the spirit of Messi would forever burn brightly in his heart and on his skin. Standing at the threshold of a new beginning, with the city of Buenos Aires stirring to life outside and the world watching his every move online, Diego's eyes shone with a mixture of relief, pride, and determination. He knew that this was only the start of an odyssey, a journey in which art, passion, and destiny would converge in ways even he could scarcely predict. The ink was still fresh, the future uncertain, and the dream of catching Messi's attention glimmered like a distant star on the horizon. In that fleeting, poignant moment, Diego embraced both the vulnerability and the exhilaration of his quest, ready to take the next step in a story that was destined to leave an indelible mark on all who believed in the power of dreams. In the days that followed the unforgettable tattoo session, Diego's life transformed into a whirlwind of anticipation and surreal possibility. His live broadcast, once a solitary act of homage, had ignited a digital movement. The feed overflowed with messages of hope, shared memories of unforgettable matches, and tributes from fans whose lives had been touched by the magic of Messi's play. Diego's personal channel became a beacon, drawing viewers from every corner of the world, each one eager to witness a story where passion and destiny intertwined. Soon, as the online chatter swelled to a near roar, unexpected developments began to materialize. Prominent sports journalists, initially intrigued by a lone fan's artistic tribute, started to investigate the phenomenon. Local newspapers and television stations from Buenos Aires picked up on the heartwarming tale, a fan whose ink was as vibrant as his dreams, and whose determination had united a legion of admirers. Diego, who had once labored in the quiet solitude of his own passion, now found himself thrust into the spotlight. Yet, amid the newfound attention, a singular hope continued to pulse at the core of his mission, that his beloved Messi might one day stand before him, witness the tribute firsthand, and become an enduring part of the living narrative on his skin. As the momentum built, Diego's phone began to buzz with messages from unexpected quarters. One morning, as he scrolled through a deluge of congratulatory comments and supportive messages, he noticed a notification from an account that bore the emblem of an official sports organization. The message was brief but electrifying, a cryptic invitation to meet with someone who claimed to be close to the heart of the football world. His pulse quickened. Could this be the turning point he had longed for? With a mix of trepidation and exhilaration, Diego replied with cautious optimism, agreeing to a discreet meeting later that week. The rendezvous was set at a modest café nestled in a quiet Buenos Aires neighborhood, a place that still held echoes of old-world charm and unhurried conversations. There, Diego met Martín, a soft-spoken intermediary whose eyes carried the gravity of secrets and promises. Over cups of strong, bitter coffee, Martín explained that word of Diego's extraordinary tribute had reached the inner circles of the club. Rumors had begun to swirl that Lionel Messi himself had been made aware of the passion and artistry encapsulated in Diego's tattoo. Although nothing was yet confirmed, Martín hinted that arrangements were in motion for a potential visit to the very studio where the tattoo had been born, a prospect that filled Diego with both awe and a reverent kind of disbelief. That very afternoon, as sunlight slanted through the city streets and cast long shadows on the pavement, the tattoo studio was transformed. What had once been a modest haven for body art had blossomed into a vibrant gathering point. Banners celebrating football legends hung alongside large digital screens replaying highlights of Messi's career. Fans, local celebrities, and even a handful of former players gathered, drawn by the magnetic pull of a story that was equal parts art, faith, and football lore. Every corner of the room pulsed with excitement, a palpable energy that resonated with the beating hearts of those who believed in the power of dreams. Then, in a moment that seemed to suspend time, a sleek black car arrived at the studio's entrance. The crowd hushed as a distinguished figure stepped out. There was an immediate, almost electric silence as onlookers recognized the unmistakable aura of a legend. The man approached with deliberate steps, his gaze calm yet carrying the intensity of countless battles fought on the pitch. It was Lionel Messi, more human and approachable than any image on a magazine cover had ever conveyed. His arrival, unexpected and profoundly moving, sent ripples of joy and disbelief through the assembled throng. Messi's presence was as gentle as it was monumental. With a warm smile and an air of quiet humility, he greeted Diego as though reuniting with an old friend. In that charged moment, the distance between a devoted fan and his idol seemed to evaporate. Messi spoke in measured tones about the universal language of passion, a language that transcended borders, statistics, and trophies. He marveled at the dedication it had taken for Diego to not only create this living tribute but to share it with a world hungry for authenticity and hope. For hours, the studio resonated with conversation, laughter, and quiet reflection. Diego recounted the personal milestones that had led him to this point, the solitary nights spent replaying classic matches, the endless sketches of iconic moments, and the fierce determination to preserve the memory of a man who had given so much to the sport. Messi, in turn, listened intently, his eyes reflecting both admiration and a touch of wistfulness at the sacrifices inherent in the pursuit of greatness. He examined every line of the tattoo, every carefully rendered detail, as though tracing the contours of his own storied journey. The meeting took on an almost ritualistic quality when Messi, with an encouraging nod, extended an invitation that left Diego momentarily breathless. He offered to join Diego on a pilgrimage, a visit to the very pitch where his own journey had begun. It was an opportunity to relive the genesis of a dream, to stand on hallowed ground where football was not merely a game but a testament to human endeavor and resilience. Diego accepted with a mix of joy and reverence, knowing that this would forever alter the tapestry of his life. In the days that followed, the story of Diego's tattoo and Messi's heartfelt visit reverberated far beyond the borders of Buenos Aires. Social media lit up with hashtags celebrating the encounter, and news outlets marveled at a narrative that seamlessly wove personal passion with the grand theater of sport. Diego found himself invited to speak on talk shows and to share his odyssey at public gatherings, a humble ambassador for the dreams that bind us all. His journey, which had started with a solitary tribute, had become a unifying force, a reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary moments are born of simple acts of devotion. As twilight embraced the city on the final evening of this remarkable chapter, Diego gazed at the living canvas on his arm, a mosaic of ink that now held not only his own dreams but the tangible imprint of a legend's kindness. He understood that the true magic lay not in the perfection of the art, but in the shared heartbeat of a community that believed in the impossible. The studio, once a quiet sanctuary, had become a shrine to hope, and Diego's story, a story of passion, perseverance, and an indomitable spirit, would forever serve as a reminder that when dreams are pursued with sincerity, even the most distant stars can descend to walk among us.